This video is designed to show you the basic call flow section of the edit offer. So I'm going to go ahead and click on call routing and pick my student loan consolidation offer here. Now basically this is what gets set up on an offer when you use our wizard to create an offer. Either the initial install of TrackDrive, or you go to call routing and setup wizard and you set up an offer to add buyers in a new offer. We're going to create an offer that looks like this. So we have no greeting to start with. So it's trying to route calls when a call is received to the offer and no key press is requested, meaning there's no greeting. We're not going to talk to the consumer at all. We're going to forward to buyers, and I'm listing my buyers here. You can also list buyer groups here if you had a buyer with multiple locations, or doing simul dials when you put in buyer groups as well. But at this point, this is just the routing. So from here on out, it's easy. You keep adding buyers. They keep listing them here. We'll route to all those buyers based on their settings. The other things that we create for you is a prompt that says when no buyers have open concurrency cap. In other words, they're open to take calls, but they can't take any calls because they have the max CC has been reached. So we're going to tell them we're too busy at this time. Again, you can always record an MP3 and use the audio instead of text to speech. But we're going to tell them we're too busy. The action we're going to take is place the caller in the hold queue. And then this is what happens with the hold queue. So how big is the hold queue? So the max size of it, a number of calls. The max size of it based on the max CC of all the buyers combined. So if the CC was 100 and I put the 10% here, it'd make a max queue size of 10 calls and it wouldn't add any more. The max hold time before we drop a caller from the call, 6 minutes. The average hold time is 60 seconds, meaning if it's averaging longer than that when someone comes to enter the queue, just tell them the queue is full. And there's the hold music is here. We just put some elevator music on there, but I highly recommend doing some customer retention hold queue music where you're playing some music and then talking to them about how great your company is. When no buyer answers, meaning that someone was open and TrackDrive attempted to send some calls but they're not answering, we're just going to tell them we appear to be busy, call back later, and we're going to hang up on them. When no buyers are open after hours, or your buyers that might be open are paused, so they're not even considered, but any non-paused buyer is in the closed hours, then that's no buyers are open. So it's going to say, calls back during normal office hours. And then this is when the hold queue is full. So we're going to speak to them and tell them, we couldn't add them to the queue, so we're just going to tell them to call back in 10 minutes. So we have an awful lot of routing options, and I'm making a detailed routing options video for the other options that we have. But this is the basic options here. So if I had to add a greeting here, I'm just going to press the add a greeting to this. Now you notice what used to be when someone enters the offer, go ahead and route it. Now it changes to when 1 is pressed or no key press is requested. Because we're asking for a key press now, then it's going to only follow this option when they press 1 or if the greeting doesn't play. So I'm just doing the simple greeting, please press 1 to be connected to the next available agent. I'm going to repeat it, let's say 2 times to give them a chance to press that 1, and I can say it in a male or female voice, and now it's going to go ahead and follow this through if they press that 1. If I had to have a button, let's say if you're looking for a new offer, or you're looking for a new loan, or you're looking for the Department of Education, I'm going to go over how to add a much more detailed routing setup with multiple key presses on the detailed video. So if you're not going to see that here, so I can keep this video short. But what we will have is I'll show you how this works. So the call comes in and we play this greeting. Then it's going to follow this routing option here. So then it's going to order up our buyers in order of priority and weight, and when they're open. If they're not open, they won't even be considered. If static filters didn't fit, they're not going to be considered. So we finally find all the people that are still going to be considered, line them up in a row in a queue to say who's the next buyer in line. So in this situation, this guy would be the next buyer in line, but he has some filters on there. So when the call comes in, it's going to make sure that we mark the number to have call type search on it, and then he had these promptable tokens. So the student loan, it's going to ask, are you how much federal debt do you have? Press 1 for under 5K, press 2 between 5 and 10, press 3 if you're over 10, and this guy only wants it over 10, so if they don't press 3, he won't be considered for the call anymore. Then we add type of debt. If he passed that, we'll ask them the type of debt to the consumer. We ask, is it federal, is it private, or both? This buyer said he would take both. Now the two static filters were the call type and the geo. We would figure out the geo from the area code, and this guy said he wouldn't take Illinois or New York, so he wouldn't have been considered for the call if either of those static filters didn't fit. Like if this was a call from New York, he wouldn't be considered or queued up to take the calls. Okay, so that's how that functions, and we're going to prompt the users. If the consumer failed to answer one of the questions right based on this buyer's desires, this guy was sitting next in line, he'll just take the call because he has no filters. So that's the basic functionality of our call flow. If you're looking for a more advanced setup and how this all functions on a much longer video, check the other video. It's much more detailed. Thank you.